get started with the thing. Right, when we left off, you guys had gone in search of magical items to help you survive in the underwater environments located in the lagoon here at the tropical island of Cathar. You were planning on heading down and perhaps exploring the ruins of the elvish city that lie deep, deep in the bottom of the caldera.
Yeah.
You found most of the items that you need in the city of Dishay, which is the capital of Diora. You encountered a handful of odd characters, spent insane sums of coin, and acquired the items that you needed.
Yeah.
Then returned to the nice beach with its calming, soothing waves, strange jungle birds and monkeys calling. And that's where we pick up.
So we decided that we were gonna rest for the next day so our stones could recharge, right?
Yes. Yes. I believe so.
Is there anything we need to do before we venture off?
Go out and kill some boars. Well, I've got my affairs in order. Shoot. I was gonna ask you if you were gonna draw those up. The items that we got in the shop.
There's really nothing necessary for it.
Okay, can you tell me what a belt of the merfolk does? Because I didn't write it down because I thought I was gonna get a cool paper.
Oh, you don't need the belt of the merfolk. Why do you have it?
Because I spent money on it.
You were holding onto it to give to Wensurakara, probably. Because you have
already
your...
have a magical item.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not the one that turned you into a mermaid. That was the octopus ring that she got.
Well, there was a necklace of the merfolk that turned you into a mermaid, and we didn't get that.
Right.
Well, I bought the belt of the merfolk. I
Right.
have that written down. And then Sylan bought.
I have the helm of water breathing.
Yeah.
You also have the ring of
I
the
have the
octopus.
ring of the octopus.
Right.
So the belt we just have.
Yeah, the
in
belt we
case.
got to give to someone else.
Okay.
We're hoping that at least one of them would be able to join us.
Right.
So, does that mean... Oh, I guess I got it. I need to get rations, so I will find some place within the town to purchase rations.
Okay. I'm not going to roleplay all that out.
I don't-
It's
I don't-
basic stuff.
That's fine.
Spend your gold, get your rations. No need to actually spend roleplay time on.
So, do we want to do this at nighttime, in the daytime, in the morning? When do we want to go down under?
I mean, it's not going to matter down there, I don't think, so we could just go when
Just go.
we're rested in the daytime.
Do you have, either of you, light sources that would work underwater?
Does my drift globe work underwater?
Yeah.
Okay. Then yes. Because you have one too, don't you?
I think I do.
I think that we bought them at the same time.
Yeah, we got like a whole
Yes.
bushel of them. Yes,
And then you got what,
Yeah.
like a silver one, and you had like a purple, one?
Purple.
And then I can also cast Dancing Lights as it's on one of the rings I have.
Okay. So, I say we just go for it. Have a nice big breakfast, wait an hour, and then go into the lagoon.
Sounds like a good idea.
Should we bring... What do you know about these people or what's down there? Should we bring offerings? Like that dragon turtle?
So, do I know if merfolk or whatever have inhabited the city? As far as I know, it's just a lost elven city that I'm looking for
Right.
down there, right?
There are merfolk that
Live
you
in
have
the lake.
seen in the lagoon itself, but you don't know if they actually live in the ruins of the city, or if they just happen to be. This happens to be an area they frequent. You're not sure.
I know this name is from Moo, but do I know who the Queen of the Merfolk is? In my studies, or trying to figure that out.
Who it is, you have no idea who it is that calls herself the Queen. You do know from the lizard guy that basically helped you with the night hag in the cave under a waterfall, that the queen of the lagoon is a much larger bronze-colored mermaid. She's not like giant, but she's bigger than the other standard merfolk that you have seen.
Okay. So, maybe an offering for the queen? We could go down there and say we're bringing an offering to the queen, and maybe we won't have to fight anything. So let's leave an offering here.
I mean, I don't know what we have to offer. I'm all out of coin.
What do merfolk like?
I mean, everyone likes treasure, right? We could give them, what's like land stuff that they wouldn't have there? We could bring down, well, they could probably get
A
coconuts.
dingle hopper?
A dingle hopper, yeah, we could bring them a fork. An ugly ass carpet bag.
Well, you seem to like it.
That's true. I literally wrote down ugly ass carpet bag though. I don't know. Let's go down there and see what we see. Under the sea.
Okay.
Yeah. Alright, well, I'm ready to go. I have a general idea.
Okay.
I pull out my fancy cloak and I don it.
Okay.
I flip up the hood.
And she flips up the hood and lays down on the beach and flops because she can't breathe air.
That's not true. Are you fucking fine?
Pretty good.
You can breathe underwater. It doesn't say you can only breathe underwater. So, step into the water.
Alright, so you guys step into water, have your crystals recharged, or is this...
Yes, we
They
made
should
it
be
to
the next day. They should be the next day
Okay.
from when we ended last, so.
Alright, so you step into the water and start to sink down below the waves into the ocean. And as the waves kind of close over above you, for the most part it gets quiet. Kind of all the sound and everything is muffled. All you really make out is your movements in the water kind of creating ripples and currents around you as you sink deeper and deeper into what seems to you from this vantage point an ever shrinking cone of the various mountainside and everything, with various corals, and you see sea life and everything, but it just gets darker and darker and darker as you get down towards the about 40-50 feet down. It starts to get pretty murky, but you can still see glistening spires of tumbled towers, and you also see bits of rubble from buildings that are like these beautiful, or at one time were these beautiful domed structures that are now just crumbled and covered in coral and debris, and they just seem to be tumbled down the inside of this caldera. As you are going deeper and deeper, you see a flash to your left, to your right, and then another flash to the left. Give me perception checks.
16.
16. 12.
All Alright. You two, as you're kind of glancing around, trying to get to catch whatever it is, not certain if it's one of the merfolk or perhaps something dangerous, and you see a large shark swim past on one side, and then a second and a third, as they just kind of slowly seem to be swimming around the three of you.
Can I make a survival check to see if this is really the kind of terrain that a shark would be in? I mean, do they normally come in this far from Dawata? And do I get advantage on it?
You can make a check, but no, you don't get advantage.
Okay.
It's just nature check.
20. Oh, nature, but I wanted it to be survival.
It's animal stuff. It would be
19.
18.
You don't see any reason why they wouldn't be in a tropical lagoon in the islands.
Okay.
It is seawater. It is part of the ocean.
I will burble at my... And then I'll take my drift globe that I got with me and I'll go basically like cover it and uncover it so it's flashing at those two.
Okay. You see her flashing her globe at you. You don't know what it means.
I forget, does the helm of water breathing allow you to talk underwater?
Yes, because it's still muffled to them, but you're basically in a side of a bubble of air, so you can speak as normal.
And if someone replies, if I cast a message at someone and they reply, do they still have to be able to speak to reply? Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise you hear...
Now, does my ring allow me to speak underwater? The ring of the octopus?
It does.
Okay.
Speaking of which, as you go into the water and you activate your ring, your legs basically seize in together and turn black, and then suddenly split apart in these like inky black shadows that seem to writhe around you. At first, it's both painful and disconcerting because it literally feels like your legs are being shredded apart. And then left with these long black tentacles that trail along behind you, about twice the length of your torso.
I'm gonna swim over to Dagmar and just start touching her with all of my tentacles.
Roll a Constitution saving throw.
Okay. I mean, I nailed it. I got a 22.
Okay, you feel the tentacles sapping at your strength. How many tentacles do you touch her with?
Well, just like 2.
She didn't make this motion.
Okay. So you only take 7 points of necrotic damage.
Oh, sorry.
But I see the sharks too, so I know what she's pointing at. And then,
So now you know you can make up to 4 tentacle attacks in lieu of any other actions, and each one doing a d6 in necrotic damage. There's a Constitution saving throw. I'll let you get this written down.
You said 2d6?
No.
1d6 per tentacle of necrotic damage. And the person you attack, or creature you attack, must make a DC 15 Constitution saving throw. Or have that damage be permanent, not permanently, but reduce their maximum hit points by that much damage.
Ouch.
She is a death squid. Got it, please.
Oh, also now that you've done this, you also need to make a Constitution saving throw, Charisma saving throw, DC 18, in order to transfer back to a non-aquatic state.
Well,
You don't have to do it right now. It's just when you get ready to leave the water.
Okay. Thanks for the ring.
she wanted it.
It is your fault.
Yes, it's all my fault. It's not that she immediately heard, I want to meet Ursula, and, you know, that's everything.
You can't change back, it's just hard.
Okay.
So I'll let, Seraphina be careful, there's sharks in the water.
There's sharks. Did you say there's sharks?
Can I understand either of them with the burble?
Yes.
Okay.
Because we can talk in
We
the
can
water.
talk underwater.
Well,
His voice is slightly muffled, basically like he's talking inside of a can. But her voice seems to carry relatively normal.
Because I'm a sea witch.
It's also because her vocal cords and everything have been magically transformed. Basically, if she were outside the water, she'd be extremely high pitched and hard to understand.
Not unlike how she probably sounds.
That's not what potatoes sound like.
That's true.
What do you do?
Depends. Are they fried or boiled?
I think that they're just mashed.
And then they're just
Stewed.
squish.
So, do deers doggy paddle?
Yes, all animals with 4 legs doggy paddle.
Just checking. Okay. That's, Oh, fuck. I just draw my swords.
Okay. So, I'm assuming you also break out your light sources in a more permanent fashion as opposed to just flashing at
Flashing
one
them.
another.
It seemed like a good idea at the time. Ships do it, okay? In the dark. So, yes, I will allow my drift glow.
Sometimes ships do it in the daytime too.
That's unrealistic. It's already bright out.
It's just a matter of when they want to do it.
Okay. I'm not gonna judge.
Yeah, just, you know, extend the plank and board.
Alright, we are not talking about docking while we're dragons. I draw my long swords and I continue to make my way in a downwards fashion.
Alright. So you guys sink deeper and deeper into the water. And soon, as about another 3 or 4 minutes goes by and it gets darker and darker, something darts out at you, Sylan. You manage to avoid it as this shark basically comes up and it bumps into you, but it is very obviously trying to get a bite.
Okay.
It just kind of slams into you and you kind of tumble over its back as it swims past. Then you see a second one swim by, and this time it's the second one goes over towards you. Again, kind of slams into you, but doesn't manage to actually get a hold of it as you kind of see it coming and kind of shoved to the side, and it basically just kind of bumps into you.
I attack it. I use my riposte action
Okay.
to make an attack as a reaction to being missed.
Okay.
So 27 to hit.
Okay.
And then 11 points of damage.
Alright, so you hit the shark and as it swims by, and then the third shark, you being the last one, comes towards you, and it kind of swims past you and tries to nip at your tentacles, but they're just kind of a writhing mass at this point. They miss. So it'd be initiatives.
Ugh. So what do the sharks get for the initiative?
16.
Sharks. Okay, 16 means Seraphina goes first.
Oh, well, Seraphina is going to slap one of her tentacles at the bastard that tried to bite her.
Okay. So you jet over there to her, or to it, I should say.
So you're gonna do all 4 tentacles?
Can I use all 4 tentacles
Mhm.
at once?
Yeah.
So
If you
each-
can choose to attack with your tentacles, in which case you get 4 attacks, or you can choose to use one of your other abilities, like fight with a rapier or whatever. But if you go with the tentacles, that's basically your entire attack action.
Okay.
You can't attack with a tentacle and then do other things. It's all 4 tentacles.
Okay. So I'm going to slap with my tentacles. 6.
Okay. That's 1. You got 4 of them, so.
Okay. 8. What was it? 15. Yes, your DC 15.
No, that's if you
Oh.
hit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're just trying to.
19.
That
Well,
one
what's
hits.
what plus does she use for the tentacles?
Her
She's going-
dexterity.
So you,
Oh, okay.
does she count as proficient?
Hell yeah, it's her legs.
Okay, so you
So all of her
have
transform.
plus 8 to
Or she
hit
half.
on all of those rolls.
Okay.
Half
So-
on top.
What was the first one? I had 6.
You said 6, so 14.
So 14 for the first one.
That is a hit.
And what is so your second one was a bit higher, so that hit. So your third hit, so you have 1 more attack as well. No, natural 1 on that one. So 3 of them hit.
You're
Alright,
you're
so-
getting used to it.
3d6 necrotic damage.
8.
Total.
Yep. Roll a 1 on one of the dice.
3, 6. Fail. Pass. So what were the first 2 damages?
1 and 3.
1 and 3.
1 and 3.
Yeah.
So, that's not going to make much of a difference in this particular case, but just in case. You reduced its maximum hit points value by 4.
Nice. It is the sharks' turn.
Alright, so I don't know what happened to the mouse pointer thing, but that shark basically will turn sharply and come to you. Yep. So
Is it going after Sylan, you said? Oh, 1 for each. Okay.
So the shark at Sylan. So a 12 to hit,
No.
and then against Seraphina, a 21.
Yes.
Okay. $16 points of piercing damage. Then against Dagmar, 15.
That is a miss. I found your phone number. I did not find what I was looking for.
As they circle in and attack. 2 of them missing, but the one on Seraphina digging its teeth into her soft flesh. Blood spills out into the water.
Okay, sorry. After the sharks, it's Dagmar. Dagmar is going to whip around and she's going to slash at the shark that's attacking her. He doesn't know who he's dealing with. Alright, does a 13 hit?
A 13 will hit.
Okay, cool.
So all 3 hit.
Yeah. Alright. 30 points of damage to the shark.
Alright, good job. So you lash out with your blades slicing through the water, cutting deep into the shark. More blood spilling into the water around you, making the entire area cloudier and more difficult to see.
I don't like it. Okay. After Dagmar, it is Sylan's turn.
All right, Sylan.
Alright. So of course if I Eldritch Blast the one I'm in contact with, I have disadvantage on it, right? But if I attack others I don't, correct?
That is correct.
Alright.
You can try to ignore the one that is on you to attack.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and, since I saw Dagmar hurt that one pretty heavily, I'm gonna just Eldritch Blast the one that Dagmar was attacking. So that is going to be a 17 for the first blast.
That will hit.
Alright. nice. 13 force damage and 3 cold damage.
Okay.
Is it still alive? Alright, I'm gonna send these second blast that way. With a 19 to hit.
That was it.
And that is a 11 force damage and 4 cold damage.
Alright. So you release blast after blast at this particular shark, and the cold water around it, the ice that basically comes from your enchanted ring, forms these ice crystals around its body. And as it goes limp, the ice carries its corpse upwards towards the surface of the water.
So that,
Meanwhile-
There's a
is that one dead?
as Dagmar laughs at it.
That one's dead then?
That one is dead.
Alright, I'll pull it off the W.
And now it's initiative.
Super fast.
Sylan.
6.
Seraphina.
9.
Sharks.
14.
Okay, so sharks are first.
Alright. That shark will continue to try to tear at your skin. We'll hit an armor class of 13.
No.
Again, trying to tear into you, but you kind of keep fending it off and
Yeah.
staying out of its grasp. While the other one is attacking Seraphina. Its eyes seem to roll back in its head as it enters into a blood frenzy, smelling your blood in the water, therefore getting advantage on attack rolls against you. Ouch. 22. Alright, so its teeth tear into you, sawing back and forth as it shakes its head and its entire body trying to rend you apart. Doing 16 points of piercing damage. As it's tearing at your skin, more and more of your blood pooling into the water around you.
Seraphina and Dagmar are Simo. Dagmar wants to swim over to Seraphina's shark,
Okay.
and she will attack. 1 natural 1, and then 2 14.
The 14s will hit.
24 points of damage.
Alright. You slash into the beast, one of the blows just kind of bouncing off its rubbery hide. But 2 of them cutting deeply into its flesh.
And Seraphina is Phoenix.
So I'm gonna slap him with all of my tentacles again. 16.
Hit.
So 4 on that one. 13 on the second.
13 hits.
3. 7, that doesn't hit.
7 does not hit. But it does
You're adding your
fail.
proficiency too, right? You have a plus
Oh, no.
7 total.
So so 10. But that still doesn't
10. 10 is still less.
So again, 10.
Okay. So you do 7 points of damage to it. Also, it fails both of its saves, so it's the necrotic damage that you were doing to it is permanently weakening its flesh.
Serves it right. Or serves it toasted, whichever. It is now Sylan's turn.
Alright. Again, because I really don't have a whole lot I want to use right now against the one that's right up against me. I'm going to focus my attention on the one that's been attacking Seraphina.
Okay.
25.
That is a hit.
So that is 13 points of force damage and 8 cold. So
Okay, Alright, so like the previous one, as you blast it, ice crystallizes around its dead form and begins to carry it ever upwards.
So I have one more, so I will just go ahead and do my second blast against this one, even though I've got disadvantage. So that is going to be a 12.
Hits on the nose.
Literally, right in front of
I'm
him.
gonna punch it.
Punch his nose.
That works, right?
Jason Statham.
8 force and 3 cold.
Alright. So as you blast that shark, it kind of shakes off the attack and continues to kind of thresh, trying to devour you.
Initiative.
Sylen.
7.
Seraphina. 12.
It was almost higher than it. We just rolled that last little bit.
Sharks.
19.
Sharks are first.
The one shark.
The one shark.
Well,
19?
Yeah.
Well, this time it will tear into you. And it does 7 plus 5 is 12. 12 plus 4, 16 points of damage.
Alright.
As it bites into you, finally grabs a hold of like one of your flailing limbs that you're using to keep yourself afloat. Grabs hold of like your upper arm and just starts writhing and tearing into your skin.
As a reaction, I am going to Misty Escape. So I'm going to teleport up to 60 foot to somewhere I can see, and I'll be invisible until my next turn or I attack. Or the end of my
that
next
is
turn I attack.
badass.
So I'm just going to teleport next to Dagmar here.
Okay.
Alright, after the shark.
So you
It
just
is
see me
Seraphina.
disappear as it bites me.
And then a bubble appears next to you.
Excuse me.
It's just weird humanoid shaped bubble.
Seraphina.
I'm gonna use vicious mockery
At the shark?
Yes.
Alright.
And I'm gonna say, "You belong in a can of tuna fish, you asshole."
I would not eat that.
Wisdom?
Neither would
It tastes
I.
like asshole.
What's the DC? Oh, never mind. Natural 20. So you try your best to insult it.
Sure.
It just doesn't seem smart enough to realize that what a can of tuna is. Maybe. You're not really certain, but
Neither is the
you're
shark.
fairly certain you have hurt its feelings at the very least.
Well, good. As my bonus action, who's next?
Me.
After me. Okay, so I would like to inspire her.
What would you like to do to inspire her?
I mean, I think you can probably get a 2 for 1 because that was funny.
Well, I'm very injured, so I'm just gonna give like a little, awkward water dance.
And because
blow
you
some
are
bubbles at
shifted
you.
the way that you are, it really is awkward.
Haha. It's awkward.
Dagmar gives up and
Squidward,
just
but awkward.
swims furiously towards the fucking shark bait thing. Rah! Natural 20.
Nice.
It does a. I think that hit before. 13 hit.
Yep.
Yes. You know a 12 hits. So.
Okay, so 17 plus 11 is 28 plus 9 is 37 points of damage.
Nice.
Oh,
Which is enough for it to basically go belly up as fish do and begin to kind of drift and sink slowly down into the murky depths below.
I wouldn't have critted if you hadn't inspired me. We'll go with that.
But you also see something below as it sinks deep into the darkness. A large figure moves through and engulfs the sinking shark and then disappears deeper into the murk below.
Well,
I'm gonna
Oh,
swim
shit.
up close to both of them.
there's always a bigger fish.
I'm gonna, because I can't talk. So I'm gonna 3 those ones were this big. Down there's a bigger one that just ate these ones. So watch out.
Poke her
can't
in
eat
the eye
yet.
and walk.
I know you're hungry.
I hold my bag up. I have rations.
Saki your rations.
No, they're in a bag of holding, so it's fine. They're all fine. I'm currently swimming down into the depths with a carpet bag and a batwing purse strapped to my person.
Priorities.
My person.
So was it just Dagmar that saw that, or did she charade that for no reason? Who all saw the large creature?
Well, you two give me perception checks, see if you saw it.
Nope.
10.
No.
That's okay, I told them.
Yes, it's a good thing.
What would that be? Would that be a performance check to see if they understand my charades?
Yes.
Alright.
Would be performance compared to what our
Insight.
Insight.
Alright, 14. So is that the DC?
Yeah.
Okay. Insight!
no.
Sylan is displeased. Come on.
What was it?
I mean, Seraphina beat it just by dice. Just one dice.
24.
So you get the gist of what she's like signing at you. You kind of look down, but you don't see what she's talking about. You have no idea what she's going on about. I think maybe it's some sort of weird celebration dance for killing a shark.
Yeah, I believe you. There was something big down there. They ate the sharks. Yep. Danger. Yeah, there's a really big thing down there. It's gonna
Okay.
eat us.
And she starts swimming downwards.
I guess we head to. So we're a sunken elf city, so we can see bits and pieces of it. So just try and find somewhere that.
How deep do you want to go?
Oh,
Or do you want to just go to any one of the nearest bits?
Well, I think probably should search for something that looks promising, not just any old thing.
Dagmar's gonna point at the rocks and then like make like a book thing, and like you can look for signs. I'm not very good at charades IRL or in game, so maybe
She
there's
wants to play
signposts.
peekaboo with you down in the water.
Highly
She likes
inappropriate,
you.
Dagmar. Highly inappropriate.
I am going to reach into my pack though and pull out my 2 potions of healing and hold them out.
I have a potion of healing, so.
I put one of them away.
I'm good. I have potions too.
I'll put both of them away and I just go fuck and I keep swimming downwards. I'm gonna swim over to the nearest big structural looking rock.
Okay.
I guess safety in numbers will follow Dagmar for now,
Yep.
since there's
Alright. I'm just making sure.
yeah.
See.
Am I faster than them? Like what? So you have the movement speed.
Yeah, she's got a 60-foot swim speed.
What is yours at?
I think mine just stays my walking speed, right, at the helm, or do I?
Yeah, I don't think you get any kind of swim speed at all, so his
Yeah.
movement is like 15.
I have a very graceful swim, though, that my tentacles propel me.
That's fair. Can I tow him?
Yeah.
Okay. So I will grab one of his arms and tow him along with me.
Okay. Because the helm, I don't think it actually gives you a swim speed, in which case it would be whatever your normal swim speed would be, which is half of your regular speed.
So I have a 20-foot, because I have a 40-foot movement because of the ring.
Oh, okay, so you have a 20-foot swim speed.
Yeah.
I need a quick moment.
Alright. So, you make your way ever downwards and you see kind of a number of buildings, most of them completely just decimated. As you are looking about, give me a perception check.
We do.
Just him, because he's pretty much the one that's actually.
That's like
looking.
your second one in a row. I don't know.
8.
8. Looking around, you just can't make out anything well enough to know where to go or what to do. And the deeper you go, the darker it gets. Yeah, you have the drift globes, but they only provide light for so far, and it's basically just a bright spot and basically just darkness out beyond for the most part. Every once in a while, you'll see a lingering shadow of some sort of structure. Occasionally, you see something truly massive swim by you, but it doesn't seem to be attacking you guys currently. It seems more or less attracted to the odd lights. It just kind of seems to circle around and then disappear. It does seem to be somewhat fish-shaped, but beyond that, you're not really certain as to what it might be. But it is quite large, probably 50 to 60 feet in length.
Okay.
Dagmar is looking for any kind of writing or like scribing on any of the stone bits that we're driving past or swimming past. Basically, she's looking for like a road post sign or some sort.
So you want to get closer to the edges so that you can actually look at any of
the actual like structural
ruins
quartzy bits. Yeah.
Okay. As you guys move closer towards one side, which side do you want to go towards? North, south, east, west?
The lagoon opens up on the west side, right?
North.
The
northernmost portion of it has a very narrow crack that's wide enough for a ship to come through.
Okay, so the south side, the side that's furthest from the ocean, right? That's more logically where things would be.
That's also near the city.
Yeah.
So on the south side of it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You move ever downwards. Eventually you come across, nestled in amongst all of the various ruins, which aren't really buildings that are intact enough to even really enter. You find a ship kind of basically nestled sideways into the rocks. Its tattered sails just kind of drifting with the currents. The hull is covered in barnacles and bits of coral and everything that's kind of begin to form on it. But it seems to be mostly intact. You don't see any holes in the structure of the ship. But it is laying on its side in amongst some of the ruins.
I swim for the ship.
Okay.
Ship.
Alright, I guess I'll follow Dagmar since
I'll follow Sylan.
don't want to make sure that don't want to let her have her go off on her own.
Alright, you swim over towards this sunken vessel and kind of circling around it. You see that the cargo hold at the top is open. Normally it would have like a wood or possibly even metal grate that goes over the cargo hold entrance. But it's hanging open and you don't see the grate or doorway anywhere, or door itself anywhere to be seen.
What kind of ship is it? Is it a schooner? Is it a cargo ship? Is it
It looks to be
war vessel?
You're not really certain as to what kind of ship it really is. It seems to be possibly a galleon, but it doesn't appear to be like a warship, nor does it seem to be really. Looking at it, you would guess that it's probably some sort of like personal craft, not like, basically the D&D version of a yacht.
Oh, all right.
It is large. It is a full-sized ship, 75-ish feet in length, 3 masts. It's a big ship, but it is not laid out. Once you get up to where you can actually see inside the cargo hold and everything, it's not actually laid out to be a cargo ship. You see no weaponry at all on it.
Any remains of any crew that might have been there?
You do see in amongst some of the stuff skeletons kind of pinned underneath various wreckage and debris. Picked clean by whatever
I was gonna say,
sea
are they
life and
fleshy
crabs
or-
and stuff that have.
So it's none of ours.
No, this thing has been down here for at least a decade or two.
Okay. I'll regroup with these guys. Just kind of.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with. I guess we could just carry on looking for an entrance into the city proper.
Dagmar's gonna make like a. Wait. We should check the captain's quarters.
What the fuck is this?
It's the
4. This is 1, so it's 1 quarter, right?
Give your performance check.
so roll high means lower DC.
Performance is a +2, so I have an 8.
I guess that does make sense. It wouldn't really be.
Yeah, because if she has a really good performance, it's not going to be a like you had a 28 performance. Now our DC's 28 because you're
Yeah.
You know.
So how would that work?
You'd be shooting to get below whatever her performance is. Basically, like a reverse DC. You want to get whatever her performance check was or less. So if she rolled a 28, then you have a much better chance of finding out. But she rolled an 8, which means you need to roll a total of 8 or less.
I mean that, but for an insight that's backwards because
You
if you
subtract your insight from your dice roll.
oh yeah, so I rolled a 3
okay.
on my dice roll, so
He's
-3.
He's upset with himself for understanding what the fuck that was,
Basically, just set it as like a reverse. Instead of adding your
It's
bonus, you
Thaco.
would subtract your bonus.
2 hit breeze performance check. 0.
What was she saying, Sylan?
She wants to check the captain's quarters.
Oh, you're pretty good at this.
for like a log. Anyway, I'm not even gonna try and make a tree leaf. So I swim down there.
I thought you were just gonna drop a deuce in the water. Here's the captain's log.
So you find the doorway that you believe would probably lead into the aft castle of the vessel, and you check the door, and it doesn't seem to be. It seems to be locked, or perhaps it's stuck. You're not really certain. Either way, it is not opening.
Alright, I'm gonna reach into my bag and pull out a crowbar
Okay.
and see what I can do with that. Would that be strength check?
Yeah.
I'm
Athletics.
gonna
Does the
cast.
crowbar do anything?
It's athletics. You get to add your proficiency modifier, basically.
I'm gonna cast guidance.
Actually, no. A crowbar actually would give you advantage in this situation.
So I'll go
And you have guidance, so you get to add a
a
D4.
D4, right?
I think so, yeah.
Cool. Oof. Alright, so 10 plus 17.
Alright, yeah, you kind of shove the crowbar in there, and you find it hard to get leverage in the water because when you push on the bar, you just kind of move yourself more than you're actually moving the ship. But you finally get kind of planted in such a way that you can basically put some oomph into it,
Yeah.
pop the door, and it cracks open. Part of the board kind of drifts away and then like sinks to the bottom. And you can push the door open, which is basically on its side, so you kind of have to hold the door itself up.
Okay. I want to hold it up, and basically I want to take my crowbar and stab it into the wood of the door frame,
To try
so
to
the
prop
door
it open,
can't
basically.
stay shut. Yeah, so it can't shut all the way.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna swim in there and check it out.
Alright, so you swim in and you kind of go into like a very narrow hall, maybe 3 feet wide, which is something you would be accustomed to on a ship. I mean, they don't waste a lot of room on things of this nature, and there's a door on either side and a door directly ahead of you. The door directly ahead of you is hanging open.
Okay. I'd like to see if they're following.
I'm following.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I check it out.
Okay. All right. So you swim into this room and you see a desk attached to the floor that's off to this side, off to your left. A large series of windows directly in front of you, mostly overgrown with various algae and everything, so you can't actually see through it. You see the bed is up at the top near what is currently the ceiling, even though it's actually the bulkhead of the ship. You see a bed up there that sheets on and mattress and everything long since rotted away, leaving nothing but kind of bits and tatters, a little bit of cloth drifting through the water itself. You see at the desk anything that would have normally been like maps and charts and all that kind of stuff is just gone. The water is destroyed any semblance of that kind of stuff. You do see a few tools like the compass and stuff and various measuring devices. The sextant and all that kind of stuff you can find as you're kind of shifting through the various debris and everything, which is on the current bottom, which is again the other bulkhead of the ship since it's on its side. You find the absolute destroyed remains, basically the leather binding itself of the captain's log, but the pages and everything are gone. Give me an investigation check.
5.
I will investigate the area too.
Okay.
She 24.
Right. She's kind of going through various things. She picks up the sextant and some various other tools for navigating on charts and all that kind of stuff. You're kind of looking around and you find a crystal decanter that is like laying off to one side. It has it's like a really fancy, beautiful crystal jug, basically, with a crystal stopper in it, and it seems to have a little bit of air in it and some sort of like deep red liquid inside of it.
I'm gonna Arcana check to see if I know what this could be. 11.
You're not sure, but the fact that it is still sealed, but you don't see any kind of like wax or anything of that nature on it, you have a pretty good idea that there might actually be some sort of magical quality either to the liquid or to the actual decanter itself. But you're not,
Alright.
you have no idea what.
I'll go ahead and pocket that.
Okay. You also find, in amongst all of this debris and everything, a marble chessboard
And the pieces?
with black and white marble squares. But no, you don't find any pieces, just the chessboard itself.
Okay. I'm gonna detect magic.
Okay. The decanter radiates magic. Very faint. So you don't think it's anything particularly major or powerful. The chessboard radiates some semblance of magic, although it seems kind of weak.
Okay.
And the sextant radiates magic.
So, hey Dagmar, that sextant that you're looking at, or would I know what it is?
Probably. You're well learned.
Okay.
Well educated.
It's magical.
She claps and goes for it.
Full seal.
I don't want to be like, fuck yeah, when I'm underwater, so happy clapping. And I go and I pick up the sextant and I identify it. Have I heard of magical sextants
Do you
before?
have identify as a
No, but can I make a
Then-
knowledge arcana check to see if I've heard of any magical whatchamacallits?
Sure.
And add my proficiency modifier because I'm a sailor.
No.
8.
You have no idea.
I put it in my bag. This is mine now. Is there another? No, so it's half of a set, right?
The sextant?
Yeah.
No, it's a whole sextant.
Is it the sextant, the pinchy bit?
No, the sextant is the part it's got like a rocker shaped thing on the bottom with
Uh-huh.
like a thing that kind of looks like a
spyglass?
it kind of looks like a spyglass, and it's for measuring the stars and getting your bearings and stuff at sea. It's a tool as a character you would know how to use, even though in real life you have no idea what it is.
I also take the pinchy bit.
Oh, okay.
That's a compass.
Yeah, it's just a compass.
See what I'm
But it's not a compass, but it's a compass. Yeah.
That's a sextant.
That's hella cool.
Yeah.
All right. What are you doing, the tentacled one?
Well, I need to heal myself because if we get attacked again, I will die.
Okay.
So I can use my wand of healing
Mhm.
just in general, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So
just keep track of the charges on it.
okay. So for cure wounds,
One
do
charge.
What do I use for that?
It's
What
a
do I
D8
get?
plus your wisdom modifier.
Okay.
Nice.
9. Something.
And it's got a total of what, 7 charges?
10.
10. Nice. Well, now it has 9.
How big is the chessboard? And is it built into the ship?
No, it's just a single piece of, basically it's about inch thick and about 12 by 12.
No. Dagmar,
A little bit bigger than 12.
this
by 12.
is magical too. Can you fit that on you somewhere?
Yes.
I don't think I can.
I put it in my magic carpet bag, and I
Okay.
spend the entire rest of the time that we're down here looking for pieces.
In the ship?
Mhm.
Okay.
In this room.
Give me an investigation check.
Looking for chess pieces.
Are you gonna look too?
Well, I'm assuming that I would have found any when I looked before.
Okay. So I will look. Investigation.
Mhm.
10.
Don't seem to find any chess pieces.
See, I'd be better at giving advantage to it, like assisting by like holding up furniture
Yeah.
and stuff, but it's fine.
Should we be moving on? We do have to find whatever it is we're looking for.
Yeah, I got to do my part, which is blah 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 blah.
Do you want to check out any more of the ship, or is this...
The cargo hold.
Or the other rooms. One of the other doors.
Okay.
I'm gonna. Dagmar, you know ships better than any of us. You lead the way. You probably know where things would be.
We'll go to the first mate's quarters next.
Basically the staterooms. Alright, so which one you want? Left or right? Well, in
First
this
one on
particular
the
case,
left
top,
coming-
top or bottom.
The
There's only
first-
2, one on top, one on bottom.
We'll start with the top one.
Okay,
Pick
so...
the harder one. Pull
alright.
my crowbar out of the door.
It's actually easier because since it's only 3 feet wide, as you brace, you can basically push the door up.
I'll put my crowbar away.
Okay.
Okay. When I go into this room,
Alright, give me a strength check.
can I have that pencil back, please? 12.
12. Yeah, you kind of push it over. Something is laying on top of it, but it doesn't seem to be overly heavy. As you kind of shove the door up, kind of forcing it up using your legs and everything, you push it up, and the half of a skeleton kind of drifts over in front of you.
Ugh. It's gross.
It looks like at one time the skeleton was wearing a very fine dress made out of silk that has survived, sort of, intact.
Like it's still mostly there?
It's tattered, but yeah, it's still mostly there.
Tattered as in
Well, tattered would
worn
mean
and
it-
eaten by the sand, like the salt, or as in it took wounds while the ship was sinking?
More like it was tattered by the effects of being underwater.
Okay, so not necessarily magical.
Right.
Is it wearing any jewelry?
Yes, there's a ring and a necklace, and some sort of like comb. That's what they call them, right? The little
Yes.
fancy like forked things with jewels on it. Yeah.
I gotta find a way to put
Hair
that
comb.
on Fifi. So I start to divest the body of its sparklies.
Okay. As you begin to take the bits and bobs, there's a flash of light briefly in its eye sockets as it lashes out and attacks you.
What the fuck? You're the wizard. You should have warned me.
It's an armor class
No, but you
of
are-
23.
That's definitely a hit.
Alright, give me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, alright. 20 altogether.
20 altogether.
I rolled
Alright.
a 19.
Your head begins to kind of swim and you feel disoriented. But then you see these various images come to your head as you see this, like you're looking at this ship that's docked in kind of a cold gray harbor. You see a number of people dressed nicely boarding this particular ship. And then you see as you turn, you see this fairly handsome gentleman. He seems to be a little bit taller than you, probably by about 1.5 feet. A human gentleman with a kind of long gray hair, a very well-trimmed gray beard, and like these kind of stormy gray eyes. And he smiles at you, and he's got this long black coat on, and he smiles at you, and he kind of lifts you up and tosses you into the air, and you realize that you seem to be a child of some sort. Maybe not super young, but definitely not full grown, as he tosses you in the air and spins you around and puts you down and leads you onto this ship that then heads off to sea. You catch glimpses of the crew singing and dancing, and you enjoying along and clapping your hands, and then you catch another glimpse of storminess and you feel kind of ill. Seasick is what you recognize it as. You see plates of food, and you're in a nice, you're in a very nice looking bedroom, one of the staterooms, and you just feel kind of sick, and there's like a half-eaten plate of food over here that you just really don't want to have to deal with. And then it shifts, and you see yourself coming through this very beautiful but very almost intimidating corridor, these tall sheer cliffs. They go ever upwards all around you as you're sailing through this very narrow channel. Lots of tropical plants and everything growing on up above you. You see colorful birds like fly from one side of this narrow channel to the other, like parrots and cockatiels and all these other types of tropical birds. You see monkeys swinging on various vines that stretch between the two cliff faces. And then it opens up into this beautiful lagoon as it sails towards a villa that you recognize on the far shore. As it gets ever closer and begins to prepare to dock on that stone pier that juts out near the villa, as it's preparing to dock, all of a sudden everything just shakes, and it's like this. You see these huge greenish black blue tentacles that kind of grasp around the ship and just yank it down below the surface. You have like no time to react, and the next thing you know, everything is black and darkness.
Okay. 2 questions.
And then the skeleton releases your arm. You guys see this, like half of this skeleton, probably like a late, maybe a youth of some sort, gripping hold of her arm, and then as she basically kind of, her eyes widen and her mouth gapes open, and then soon the skeleton just crumbles into dust along with the dress.
Did I catch the name of the ship?
No.
Okay. And did the villa look to be in
Brand new.
disarray, or okay? So it was nice looking, lived in.
Yeah.
Okay. Did any of the other items on her person survive the
Yeah, the jewelry did. It was just the dress and the skeleton itself.
Do any of them
The things that should have already deteriorated for the most part.
Do any of them have a family crest on them? Or any kind of identifying marks?
Not really. They're just like it's just a basic gold ring with some jewel with a what do they call it? A garnet on it. A nice deep red garnet. And then the necklace seems to be kind of match the ring itself. It's a simple gold chain with a large oval-shaped cabochon of gold, gold plate, oval-shaped gold plate with another garnet cabochon that's basically inlaid on that. And then the comb is beautiful silver comb with what looks like lilies done with mother of pearl inlay.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna stick those in my bag because I want to see Pearl of Pearl, whatever notes. I want to see if Dorian recognizes them, but afterwards we'll have to give that to Fifi. But I gotta check out the rest of this room and see if there's any other marks in here because her family should know that she's gone. And also I'm gonna kill that squid.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you relay any information to them? What do you guys do? How do you react?
Well, how about on our side? How long was that?
Mere seconds.
I guess
It's like the equivalent of one round.
I'm gonna ask. Right, yeah. Dagmar, are you okay?
I saw something crazy.
Oh.
What?
I
Natural
rolled a
one.
1, so 3.
3.
Whoa!
I rolled a 3.
But you get to subtract your insight, right?
Yes.
So he gets it. He
All
totally
right.
gets
You
it.
get it.
Yeah.
You saw something strange.
Alright.
Do you wish to attempt to understand, or are you just gonna
No, I'm
hope
just
that
gonna ask.
Sylan
Yeah.
translates for you?
What was that?
She saw something strange. We'll have to ask what it was later.
Yeah. I'm gonna do this.
Okay.
I'll tell you up there.
I think I get the gist.
Yeah. And then I'll continue to search the room.
All right. So you go into the room, and who wants to investigate the room?
I want to assist.
Alright, I will investigate the room.
All right. So
By
you
lifting
investigate
furniture.
with
Advantage, since I should have a pretty good investigations. What the
Jesus.
hell? That's still an 11 though.
Did you bring more dice?
11 is not terrible. It's not great, obviously, but
Yeah.
you go through and you kind of searching through the room, and the room itself, almost everything in here is completely deteriorated. You do see the remains of a porcelain doll. The hair is nothing but little like frayed tatters now,
Yeah.
but the actual like the face and the arms and everything are still actually intact. You also find a kind of a worn leather-bound case, approximately 12 inches by about 8 inches. It's like about 2.5 inches thick.
And since I can do this at will as part of my Eldritch Invocations, I am going to detect magic too.
The case itself is not magical, but whatever's inside of it does seem to radiate magic.
Okay.
There's numerous of them.
But as far as anything else in the room, there's nothing else that's showing up as magical.
Yeah, like the doll itself is not magical. It's an antique. To anybody that might collect dolls or be interested in restoring porcelain dolls, might fetch a few coins, but
I'm not gonna truck with that doll. All right. Yeah. Just this case stands out to me, and it's got magical things inside, but obviously I'm not gonna open it underwater, so.
You can check it out later.
put it in your bag.
Sure.
Okay.
Where to next?
Check the other room.
The one that's down below us.
So you go to that room. That one's actually fairly easy to open since it opens downwards. You kind of brace your back against it and kind of stomp on it ever so slightly, and it basically swings open. And in there, you don't really find much of anything. You find a tarnished cutlass in a sheath that has kind of a seahorse-shaped pommel or hilt.
That's cool. I stick that in my bag.
But it is also magical.
It's magical? Okay. Yep, that's a magical sword.
A lot of magic stuff in this ship.
Well,
You're pretty sure she just said "fuck you."
Dagmar! How rude. We're going to turn away from her.
ugh. Oh gosh.
Alright.
I'm gonna assist. I was thinking he could use his magical eyeballs to look for magical stuff.
Well, I mean, he said it was magical, so it lasts for 10 minutes per casting, and I can cast it as well. That time I had a 23 on investigation.
Okay, digging through the muck and everything, kind of looking around at where everything would have fallen. That basically everything's settled in the room.
Mm-hmm.
You do find a still mostly intact but worn wooden chest, about 2 foot long and about a foot wide and a foot deep. It does have a thick, very corroded iron padlock on it, though.
Does it have any kind of painting or inlay or enamel or anything for a family? I'm never gonna find out who these people are. Okay.
Alright.
Coming from Dagmar's perspective, these guys might have been like undead or like something, because that girl reached out and touched her but was still like very clearly dead. So she's thinking maybe it's like the Deshay stuff, like the stuff we were from, the city
Well,
of
you
Deshay.
recognize the port. You've been in that city before.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
So, in the traditional sense, Dagmar's pretty sure that Dorian would know all of the undead people ever to have existed in Deshay. So she's just like, what if these were his friends, you know? So she wants to make sure to, you know, figure it out. She's trying to solve a mystery with an intelligence of 10. So
You go, girl.
she's pretty sure she's got this though. It's a ship.
Alright. Checking around the rest of the ship, you don't really find much of interest. Of course, there's like a kitchen area and everything, but nothing in there is of any kind of real value.
Yeah.
The cargo hold and much of the crew's quarters are all devoid of anything of interest or value. You don't see that the ship itself has taken any real damage. There are a few places, like it needs some repair, restoration, because of all of the stuff that's growing on it and everything. But you don't see any legitimate reason other than the vision that you saw that the ship would have possibly sunk. So whatever drug it underneath the water would have had to have been immensely strong to
For
pull
sure.
an intact ship below the waves.
She wants to tell them that, but that's a lot to say. All right. So Dagmar's gonna swim up to you guys, try and get your attention. She's gonna thump the ship. It's good. Ship's good. So whatever brought it down must have been very strong and big.
That was pretty good. I'll give you advantage on that one.
Oh, woo! Alright, 17. What the? Okay, hang on.
Did you roll a natural 20?
No, I got a 19.
19, because highest roll of the night, but with his -3,
No, it's a -6. I have 6 insight.
with
so-
all that going on,
You get the gist of it.
Yeah.
Perception check.
what?
12.
Alright.
She's a bard, she
Did
loves
you-
a good story.
You're like enthralled with her, like miming everything, and you don't hear or see it coming. And you're just completely caught off guard and surprised when you feel a very gentle tap on your shoulder.
I'm going to scream.
Bubbles.
Is that your own tentacle?
That would be terrible. I turn around.
Alright, you turn around and you see this mermaid kind of very gently swimming just behind you, just outside the ship a little bit. And just kind of looks at you. It's like, why are you here, little one? She's got this beautiful, like gold, like almost like metal gold hair that just glistens and gleams in the light of your orb. Her skin is flawless, big, beautiful, bright eyes that are like a deep emerald green, and she just kind of smiles at you. And she's like every sailor's mermaid fantasy.
Yeah, she is.
Just kind of drifting there ever so slightly and just smiling at you. Big doe eyes.
I'm here with my friends. We're exploring and we're looking for the Elven City.
Well, it's all around you. What's left of it.
Yeah, there's lots.
Of course, you
pieces
two can
everywhere.
hear that there's people talking.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular you're seeking? Perhaps the ancient library? Or maybe the palace? The palace is beautiful in spite of its ruinous state. And of course, the queen resides within the palace. Or perhaps you're seeking something way more mysterious and scary, deep, deep in the darkest depths.
I don't think I want to see anything scary.
I don't blame you, it is terrifying. We don't go down that far.
What is it?
I don't know, but there is a creature that the ancient elves had kept trapped. Now it slumbers and occasionally awakes in the depths. It's trapped there though, imprisoned. Only portions of it can escape from its prison at any particular time, but usually that's enough to, well, let's just say it's not pleasant.
What's your name?
Elena,
Elena. I'm Seraphina, and this is Fifi.
she looks at us like, oh, I'm sorry about your dog.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. And these are my friends. And I point to them. This is Dagmar. She can't speak underwater. And this is Sylen. He can.
Hello. Do you know if you've seen or heard of an elvish woman who would have come and visited the city here in recent years?
Not that I can recall, but I am quite young. We might speak to our elders. We haven't had any, in my time, have not had any elvish visitors. Matter of fact, we've only had a small number of visitors as of late. So a young man from the surface with black hair and pale skin who He just didn't smile very much. And then an older man that was with him, and his daughter, and then a very gruff and not very pleasant sailor woman with dark ebony skin. She was really interested in the golden treasure vault down below, though.
So, are the library and the palace near each other?
Sort of. They're on opposite sides of the lagoon, but once you get into those depths, it's only a matter of a couple of miles.
So you said that the queen lives down here. What's the queen's name?
Calathrax, right?
Yeah, Calathrax. She is the queen of the lagoon. Well, more than the lagoon, she rules over a very broad area of the ocean and the surface world. Though honestly, the island makes up most of the land that she rules over.
She must be very powerful.
She is quite powerful. It's an ancient.
Dagmar's gonna nudge Sylan. Like, ask her about the ship. I want to know what happened to the ship. From, I don't know, an underwater person's perspective.
Okay.
Natural 20. That's a 22.
Yeah, -1.
Yep, you know exactly what she wants.
Alright. My friend here wants to know if you know anything about this ship.
Oh, I was a really small child when the ship was sunk. It was one of the times when it escaped from below. Just briefly, though. As I said, it can only get a small portion of itself out of its prison at a time.
How does it get put back in?
Well, the previous time when I was a child, the queen ensured that it went back into its prison, but it still cost the lives of many of the merfolk and some of the surface dwellers, the ones on this ship to be precise.
It sounds like a terrible monster.
Dagmar
It
thinks
is.
that's sad. Alexa, play Despacito.
What, slowly?
There's nothing sad about that song.
It's
It's
a-
all about fucking.
Yeah.
It's a meme.
Literally.
It's a meme. Wow, that's sad. Alexa, play Despacito. It's fine. Continue.
What is a meme?
It's a meme.
Oh, a meme.
I hate you.
You children in your maymays.
She's like, would you like me to take you to the palace?
Should probably.
Where do you want to go, Sylan?
I want to speak with the elders, and I want to see if I can find it. Information about something while I'm here.
Well, I'll take you to the palace, and that's normally where the elders will speak with the queen. Otherwise, I could take you to my village, and perhaps you could seek out the elders there. It is a little bit of a swim, though.
Which is closer?
The palace, by far.
Let's
We
go.
prefer to live out in the open ocean. We come here only to, well, special occasions. I happen to be here just because I have an adventurous nature.
You seem like it. I have an adventurous nature.
Nice.
Yeah.
We could be friends. She gives you a hug.
I keep my tentacles under her control, and I hug her back. And Fifi gets in on the hugs. Okay, guys, my friend Elena's gonna take us to the palace. She's my best friend.
Dagmar continues to be sad. Poor Fifi. She feels so betrayed.
Fifi's very excited about this fish person.
I have no idea what's going on.
She really doesn't. She's
Yeah.
excited because I'm excited.
Let's head down to the palace.
Right. So, she takes you the most direct route to the palace, and she sinks deep down below, and then into kind of a cleft-in area below, where the mountainside kind of dips in a little bit, and you see resting in this hollow a large dome-shaped building. Much of it seems to be intact for the most part, except for the front side of it. Part of the walls and stuff have collapsed out, but in its place are these beautiful gardens of coral reef and everything that seems to be growing around these large glowing spheres that look like pearls about the size of basketballs that seem to be shedding a warm golden light across everything around it. You see shadows kind of moving in and out of it. Some of them are fish of varying colors and shapes and sizes. You see a few merfolk that are swimming about, many of them armed with tridents or harpoons, as they seem to be patrolling the palace grounds itself. As you dip down below, you see that the opening that the coral has kind of covered and decorated is approximately 30 feet in height and about 60 feet wide, just this arched opening that goes into what was at one time a very lavish palace filled with elvish statuary and urns and pottery and just all of these types of things, but now has been replaced with a more natural undersea art pieces of magically altered and shaped corals and anemones and everything that kind of drift and flow with the water. You see these pearls that just seem to be attached to these like kind of like green, like kelp-like vines that seem to kind of go up and kind of intertwine around these large pearls and then attach to the ceiling, so they just kind of hang at varying intervals within the palace. And then at the very center, on what was at one time a very elaborate throne, you see these sponges and everything that's kind of grown up around it. And you see this beautiful bronze-colored mermaid. She's Elena is maybe 7 feet in total length. So roughly the size of a standard humanoid. But this bronze mermaid, bronze with the scales and the slightly blue-green edges to her fins and everything, she's probably closer to 12 feet in length. And she just kind of seemed lounging serpentine-like on this bed of this brightly colored sponge and everything, just kind of her bronze hair just kind of drifting around her and eyes glowing with this kind of bluish green color. And she just kind of eating something off of a little silver platter that an attendant is giving her. As you approach, Elena's like, "This is as far as I go. I'm not normally allowed within the throne room, but since you are seeking audience, I think you'll be okay." With that, she darts back out of the thing. She's like, "I'll be waiting out here."
Thank you.
Do I see anyone who looks like they'd be like the major dormo or something
Chancellor.
of that kind? Someone that I would talk to ask
Before.
for audience.
You do see a number of people kind of moving about. You see specifically 3 merfolk that seem to be considerably older than what Elena was. Elena was probably very early 20s. These seem like they're probably in their like 80s, maybe even a little bit older. Definitely much, much older than who you were just speaking with. But they also appear to be much younger than the queen who's residing upon the throne, who you have seen that she acknowledges that you are actually in her throne room, but makes absolutely no attempt to call you over or speak to you or actually interact with you.
Okay.
It's almost as though she's waiting.
To see what we do.
Yeah.
Has anyone in this room appeared to take other notice of us, or are they just going about their...
The guards take notice, but they don't move towards you. They don't seem overly threatened by your presence at the moment.
Okay.
And you're not certain if the queen has somehow silently given them orders to leave you be, or if they literally just don't think you're a threat.
Right.
But the three older merfolk do kind of acknowledge your existence and continue to speak amongst themselves quietly.
And besides the guards and the elder merfolk, and the queen, of course, was there anyone else in the room? Is that
Just the person that was basically her handmaiden that's basically holding a tray of various weird undersea fruits.
I'm gonna
Sea grapes, peeled.
I'm gonna make my way to the elders.
Okay. Alright, so you swim over there. All three of them are fairly similar in their overall coloration, kind of a silvery colored scales. They're kind of matching their silvery gray hair. Wrinkled, as you would expect for older people to be. But
Water, pruny, wrinkly.
yeah. But also pleasant, warm smiles, the pointy elvish style of ears that is common amongst the merfolk. And one of them is wearing this necklace of various gilded like seashells and stuff, while the others wear relatively smaller adornments. Looking at the status of the jewelry and everything, you think the one with the larger necklace is probably of some sort of station above
Right.
the other two.
Greetings. My name is Sylen, and I was hoping to. I'm looking for someone and something that I know resided in the city at one point. I was hoping to find some information.
The higher ranking elder turns to the other two and says something. And then do any of you speak Primordial or Aquan?
Nope.
No.
Then you don't actually understand what she says to the other two. But they swim off and she turns to you and is like, I am Toa. How may I be of service to you?
Oh, first off, do you happen to know or have heard of an elvish woman who would have visited down here in recent years?
Well, I don't know about recent. It was actually many years ago. I was quite young then. An elvish woman and gentleman came. They came seeking something from the queen. Permission to seek out something that's down below in the depths.
Do you happen to know what that object would be or what happened to them?
I don't know specifically what they were seeking. But I do know that they did leave here. Whether they retrieved what they came for, I do not know. But they did leave here alive. That was 80, 90 years ago at this point.
I know it was a long
Maybe
time,
longer.
but do you happen to know where they went afterwards?
I don't know. I didn't actually speak to them myself.
Right, yeah.
The only living being that I know of that actually spoke to them would be the queen. After all, she is considerably older than the rest of us.
And do you happen to know anything of an ancient ring that was supposed to be in the city? Some kind of...
I have heard tale
Artifact
that
of
in the cage where the elves originally kept their more valuable treasures, there was a ring of some sort of repute. I don't know much about it myself. The old elvish legends and tales are not widely dispersed amongst us, at least not any longer. When the city first sank below the waves, there are many stories. The sea elves moved into and took over the residence within the ruins of their surface-dwelling brethren for a while. But then the beast brought that to an end in a second apocalypse, much like the one that sank the first city. Since then, there are a number of merfolk that come here to aid and serve the queen, but otherwise this lagoon is barren of sentient races. That is, unless you count the deep ones.
I'm guessing they're not one to count.
They're servants of the beast, fanatics. They worship it as a god.
Is it possible for me to, or for us, to get an audience with the queen, so I can ask her about the people I seek?
Wait here. I'll go speak with her and see if she is willing. And she swims over towards the queen and very graciously, head bowed, stands before her and begins to speak. Anyone here speak Draconic?
Yes.
Just you?
I don't know.
Okay. She's like, "O great queen of air, earth, and sea, these travelers come seeking audience with you, and I beseech you to listen to them in the name of peace and tranquility here below the waves." And the queen is like, "I suspect that I know what they seek. The last elf that came here came seeking the same thing. Send them forward." She comes back and she's like, "The queen will speak with you."
Nice.
Alright. So I'll make my way over. And I will bow.
Okay. Alright. And she kind of adjusts and she claps her hands, and all of the merfolk, the guards and everything leave the chamber. And then she reaches up and kind of touches the spot on her collarbone, right where this like necklace hangs, and she touches it and you see her eyes flash in a brilliant kind of bronzy gold light. Then all of a sudden the water from the chamber kind of begins to rush out of the room, dropping you to the still damp stone floor. But now it is an air-filled chamber, and her form changes from a merfolk to that of more of an elf, with the same bronze-colored hair that kind of goes into tips of this turquoise green blue. She's dressed, her otherwise simple dress turns into this long flowing shimmering gown of bronze and turquoise. And she kind of stands up and walks down, and she still stands at about 8 feet in height. There's something almost awe-inspiring about her. Something that is definitely not mermaid, elf, or human, but something probably far more powerful.
Probably dragon.
And she steps down her bare feet very gracefully down this set of stairs to where she stands, maybe about 3 steps up above this flat area where you are currently standing. And she speaks. "So, tell me, what is it that you seek?"
Well, there's an elvish woman who came here years ago that I'm looking for.
Many years ago. Her and her mate. Shortly after the return of the elvish elves from the Feywilds, they came here together. And then later, she returned alone.
Well,
She was different then. She bore a magic that, like you, none should possess. She kind of looks at you. You do not belong here.
I really don't. But if you have any ideas on how for me to get home, I'm all yours. Your Majesty.
She kind of looks at you. Is that what you wish?
My father taught me never to make wishes. I'm here with him. And her. And Fifi.
And she holds up her hand, and this staff materializes. It's kind of a twisted bronze with little bits of growth on it of looks like bits of coral and barnacles, and it kind of comes up in this like little C-shaped clamshell looking thing, and in the center of it is a large gold pearl. And she's like taps it on the ground, and you hear this vibrating that gets louder and louder and louder, and all of a sudden you hear this tearing sound, and you see this swirling oval of energy kind of appear and slowly get larger until it's about 10 feet tall and about 6 feet wide at its widest point. On the other side, you see a beautiful like green meadow with rolling hills, a forest, and in the distance a city with banners that you recognize.
What are you doing?
You said that you wish to go home.
Well, I do want to go home,
Well,
but I have business I have to finish first.
and what business is this? The same as this one? Seeking power?
I owe them. I need to finish what I've started here before I can go home. But I know I don't belong here, and I know that's where I need to end up.
Very well then, if that's what you wish. And she stabs the staff again, and the portal closes with a loud pop. So, you also seek the ring. It's still there. She did not acquire it. She lacked the power on her own to deal with the creatures within the prison.
What is the nature of this creature?
It's from an ancient, long bygone era, long forgotten by mortal, or god for that matter, in a time when the void ruled. An elder beast of unbound power, merely contained for a limited time within an arcane prison made by creatures just as ancient as it. The elves before took advantage of this prison, stored their worldly goods in it. That is what ultimately brought their civilization, this city, into a ruin. One that I now call mine. But you may enter into the prison if you like. Seek out whatever wealth you believe that you can gain from it. But remember, you go in there and you wake the beast. It will most likely devour you. And there is very little any of you can do.
Do you know where this elf woman went after she was here last?
The last I heard, she was going to the far, far east to seek an old friend, seeking advice.
Any names for this friend, or did she not speak of it?
I didn't ask for any names, and she did not provide. I don't know if you would remember what she looked like before, but when she visited me the second time, she had been changed, transformed by the crimson ring that she bears.
Changed how?
Well, her original silky black hair had turned into a deep blood crimson color, much like the ring itself. She radiated a warmth unnatural, fire that is bound within her. A fire that you could only see in the blaze of her eyes. She may not be the one that you remember her to be.
I still have to find her. Not that we are going to, because I don't know if we're ready, but where is the entrance to this prison?
Travel down to the very bottom. There you'll see the remains of an ancient structure, one that does not match the rest of this elvish city, one that is far older, alien in its origin. You will see a passageway that leads underneath it. Swim into it and then follow it upwards, and you'll enter into a chamber that, much like the room that I have here provided, is filled with air. Beyond that is where the prison is. Remember, like many things in this particular world, it is not fully within this realm. That is part of the nature of the prison. It is here, but not here. A dimension within a dimension.
Well, I thank you for your time and hospitality. I don't have any more questions myself.
How about you, little one? Very well then.
Seraphina is terrified.
How about you? One from a distant place.
What in that prison interests you?
Nothing. I have all that I desire.
You've never lost anyone or anything to the prison?
I have lost many that I would consider beloved subjects. But that is the nature of life. Things end. It's not always pleasant.
Is there anything that we could bring back for you if we go?
No. I would merely ask that whatever you do, even if you should manage to awaken it, do not let it out.
What if we kill it?
Then you are far more powerful than I give you credit for.
Dagmar's gonna hold back the sassy comeback because the last time I did that, she opened a portal to another dimension, so she's not ready for that shit. It's too early in the morning.
Well,
Thank you for your hospitality.
I'll be here when you return. I'm sure you will have things that you wish to report, or at the very least, to give thanks for passage through my domain.
Certainly.
Now, if I were you, I would prepare to swim. She reaches up and touches the necklace at her collarbone again, and water begins to rush in, forcing the air out. And once again, you find yourselves drifting in a sea of cold salt water. And she transforms back into the mermaid and returns to her throne.
And her grapes.
Silently, many of the subjects that were already there, or that had left, come back, and business seems to resume its normal flow. So you guys going to make your way down to the bottom and
We can at
enter
least,
into the prison?
from the sounds of things, if we make our way to the area that has air, we're not really fully entering anything yet, right?
Yeah.
So we can at least go there and talk. Because right now Dagmar can't communicate with us.
Not effectively.
No. So.
She loves me. That's what that means.
Felt that check.
So, how do both of you feel about going down to the chamber where the air, at least so we can talk, or do we want to just head up now and?
Dagmar's gonna pull up her Hearthstone and be like, I got this, I'm good. Let's go down and then up.
Breathe. I'm getting mixed signals here. Down, up, Hearthstone.
That's what she said.
Let's just go down and talk so we can figure things out.
Alright.
Alright.
So you make your way ever deeper into the darkness down below, and it goes far, far lower than you really ever thought it would actually go. You start to see strange creatures with luminescent like bits and bobs and lures, fish that look way more dangerous than anything you'd really want to deal with. But for the most part, they seem to ignore you. And like she said, you come across a strange structure, jagged and pointed, but rounded in other places. Walls that turn and shift at odd angles. And then just below it, you see an entrance, like a cave opening almost, roughly triangular. And you enter into it and swim through it. You see various ancient carvings of statues of twisting, writhing creatures that you can't make out any kind of real features about. It just seems to be this writhing wads of tentacles for the most part. Until finally you see an area where an odd green light seems to emanate from up above, and you go up into a round chamber, a dome that doesn't seem natural yet, not quite man-made, and an area of greenish stone with ancient carvings into the surface of it, where you can step up out of the water. You breathe, but the air is still damp, musty, old, and you see this door. And that's where we'll stop for tonight.
Alright.
What did you get us into?
Well, have you ever read the works of H.P. Lovecraft?
Can I introduce you to our Lord and Savior?